Hare Krishna, we'll start with the invocation prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakachatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्री वसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will discuss inquiries from Nectar of Instruction, overview and preface that you all devotees have submitted. I will bring up on screen the inquiries and we'll discuss one after the other. Question number 1. What is the ultimate purpose of controlling mind and senses and becoming a Goswami? So, as is shown with the chariot body visual on the screen that we have, Bhagavad Gita 3.42 gives the proper hierarchy in body. That soul is at the top. Soul gives direction to intelligence. In the chariot body analogy, intelligence is the charioteer. Then intelligence gives direction to the mind. The reins are the mind. And mind gives direction to the senses. The horses are the senses. If this hierarchy is followed properly, then the senses are used properly in devotional service to elevate the soul on the path of spirituality. So let's read Bhagavad Gita 3.42 translation to see what's the proper hierarchy. I have it on the screen. Subhash Prabhu can read 3.42 translation.
Hare Krishna. 3.42 translation. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
Right. So this is exactly what we just discussed and is described as the visual we have. So the problem in the material world is that this hierarchy is inverted. Material world, everybody lives according to that senses are acting without proper direction. Therefore, the soul sitting in the chariot at the back, you see, the soul is yelling, what are you doing? So senses acting without direction means senses just want to enjoy. And the person is dragged by the senses. Therefore, in the Krishna book, the Rukmani chapters, there are a few chapters around 53, 50, 52, 53. Rukmani Devi says to Krishna that senses are the real kings in the material world. So we read and discussed in Nectar of Instruction that if one does not have mind and senses under control, then the person is in bodily concept of life. And without mind and sense control, it is very difficult to become a yogi. So we have also discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 that yogi and sannyasi are same when the common factor is renunciation of enjoying mentality. Otherwise, the person is caught in bodily concept of life. And once one has the mind and sense under control, then he becomes a Goswami. And such a Goswami can have disciples all over the world. So this discussion is coming up in Nectar of Instruction, text number 1. So basically, if you correlate the Nectar of Instruction preface, the mind and sense control point, it essentially is the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 chapters, Krishna has basically been a teacher of mind and sense control. And that's exactly what Rupa Goswami has put in a nutshell in the Nectar of Instruction. And therefore, this is called nectar because it is very condensed. Does that answer the inquiry? Although one devotee has asked the question, I'm pretty sure it's applicable to many about mind and sense control.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So make it interactive, and you will get a lot more benefit out of our discussion and the study. Question number 2. How to train our mind to practice spirituality? So we have discussed this at great length in our Bhagavad Gita study. And this inquiry is an example of why one should complete Bhagavad Gita study first before coming to Nectar of Instruction. So in our Bhagavad Gita study, we have heard a very important lecture from His Grace Chaitanya Chandas on mind control with the acronym MIND, M-I-N-D. That mind magnifies problems, imagines pleasure, neglects opportunities, and denies reality. So this is MIND. Denies reality, that it is the mind itself that is the problem. So to be able to control the mind, we have to be able to first see our mind. So in our Bhagavad Gita study, we have discussed practical aspects to memorize verses while doing our day-to-day activities, while doing services. And this is how we learn to see our mind, that our mind is out of control. Once you have some basic level of being able to see the mind, then you have to be very conscious to bring the mind back again and again and again and again, like a broken tape, under the control of the soul. Every time the mind deviates. Krishna has described in Bhagavad Gita 6.26 to bring the mind under the control of the soul. whenever the mind wanders. So it is a matter of practice, not just practice, but a long practice to be able to see the mind and to bring the mind back under the control of the soul. Now understand that the nature of the mind is to wander, meaning you cannot stop the mind from wandering. Therefore, you just have to be conscious of what the mind is doing and keep bringing the mind back under the control of the soul. So as His Grace Chandrachandas has explained in the mind control lecture, that treat the mind as an untrusted outsider and proactively keep the mind occupied in Krishna conscious activities, just as you give a toy to a child to keep the child occupied. Now, the answer to this inquiry is also an example of how I have incorporated Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, the later chapters. I have incorporated some of the points in our Bhagavad Gita study. So last class, you all got a spiritual endeavor to memorize verses from Bhagavad Gita. So if you recall the discussion, I had given a short 3-minute clip of Chaitanya Chandas on why to memorize verses. That 3-minute extract is actually a lecture from Nectar of Instruction. But I had given to you way up front in our Bhagavad Gita study. Similarly, the mind control lecture that we have heard from Chaitanya Chandas is actually a lecture from Nectar of Instruction. But we have done the practice part already in Bhagavad Gita. So, has any one of you memorized the verses that you got as the spiritual endeavor? Silence, I got silence.
Prabhuji, I haven't done it. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. So, Rupashri.
No, I was about to say me too, Hari Krishna, Prabhuji.
Right. So, Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion are the practice of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So, practice. I asked all of you to memorize verses. So, if you memorize 3 verses every week, you will keep getting 3 verses. You will end up memorizing a lot more verses in your study. Plus, you'll be able to control your mind and senses. You'll be able to see your mind and senses. Now, in terms of memorization, I will play a video for myself that as part of my Bhakti Vaibhav Srimad Bhagavatam study course, because the study is via Zoom call. So we have to memorize verses in a video. We have to close our eyes and we have to memorize 3 verses, the Sanskrit and the translation. And we have to send it to Mayapur Institute and they evaluate how are we memorizing. So that the devotees do not cheat, because it's very easy to have the verses in front of the screen and you are reciting. Therefore, you will see on the video very soon, I will play on the screen, that the requirement is you close your eyes and you recite verse number 1 in Sanskrit, then the English translation of that verse, then the next verse in Sanskrit, then the English translation, and then the third verse, and then the English translation. So let me play, and you all can practice this very easily. I have given you practical aspects that when you wake up at a worse time. Say instead of waking up at 4:30, wake up at 4:34 and memorize the spiritual master verse. Tadviri paripatena pariprashnena sevaya pradekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. If you wake up at 5:30, set your alarm at 5:29 and recite a verse. Bhoktaram yajna tapasvam sarvaloke maheshwaram swatram sarvabhutana gyatvam shantim rachati. So you see how I'm reciting verses like a parrot? So I'm not saying I'm not an encyclopedia. I practice this every day. When you are in a shower, what are you doing? It's a waste of time. Memorize verses. When you are cooking breakfast, memorize verses. When you are driving, memorize verses. You have so much time during the day to memorize verses and practice Bhagavad Gita. So the short lecture that we had heard on why to memorize verses, Chitran Chandas has explained that memorizing verses is a ready-made template to remember Krishna. And he gave the example that, say you have money in a bank account, you have to go to the bank to withdraw the money, something. But if you have cash in your pocket, then it is readily available. So memorizing verses is like cash in your pocket, that every time you have misery, you remember verses and you remember Krishna this way. So I will play my recording and you will notice that I am also tense while I'm memorizing these verses, because this is an actual exam where I am reciting these verses. So let's hear. And you will notice that there are 3 verses from Bhagavatam that I have recited: 1.8.22, 1.8.25, and 3.15.43. So let's hear, and you all can also follow the same. Hare Krishna, my name is Rajesh Agwani, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam verses for the Bhakti Vaibhav course. Hare Krishna. 1.8.22. Nama Pankaja Nabhaye, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraye, Namaste Pankaja Agre. My obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with depression like a lotus flower, who are always garlanded with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as a lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. 1.8.25. Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yasayat apuna bhava darshanam. I wish that all those calamities happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. 3.15.43. Tasya aravinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjalka mishra tulsi makaranda vayu anta kata swavivareta chakaratesham samshobham akshara jusam apichitta tanvu. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they noticed a change both in body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. Hare Krishna. All right, questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna,
Wonderful
Prabhuji.
recitation.
Mansi.
Was a wonderful recitation by you. I'll try to do the same thing, and I tried to remember the 1.1 and 2.13, but I still need to remember 2.7.
Okay, very good. At least you tried few. So it's a practice, right? So this recording that I played is from many years ago. I wasn't even initiated at the time. And you notice that I was also tense because it's an exam. So it's a practice. Everybody should practice. So we are not here to just put a tick mark that I completed Bhagavad Gita study. No, we have to practice. Rest of you, is this doable for all of you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. I have also memorized first one, that is 1.1 and 2.13. And
Very good.
2.7 is just a bit difficult.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
slightly, yeah, slightly longer verse. I understand, but keep practicing, and it will become second nature. Very good, very good. No, you memorize at least the two.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, quick question. When we say you're initiated, what is the difference, Prabhuji, from the video versus now we are
So
being...
initiated means we are connected in parampara. The parampara is connected to Krishna. So I am now initiated by my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshwara Sadhikari, and upon initiation, the soul is awakened and the soul gets a name. So this is how I have the name Ram Vilas Das. In the video you saw, the video was
Right.
before initiation, and I said my material body name Rajesh Jagwani. So when you get initiated, means you are connected in parampara to Krishna, to a bona fide parampara. So there are four bona fide parampara. ISKCON is one of them. On earth, this is the one that is prevalent. Other paramparas are prevalent in other universes. So one parampara which is led by Brahmaji is the head spiritual master. And if you look at Bhagavad Gita introduction, the very last page, there is a list of 32 personalities starting from Krishna all the way to Srila Prabhupada. That is one bona fide parampara, and all spiritual masters under Srila Prabhupada are all connected, and all those disciples initiated by all these spiritual masters, they are all also connected in the parampara. The other parampara is Rudra parampara led by Sadashiva. Another is Shri parampara led by Lakshmiji, and another is parampara led by Kumara. So the other three, at least I have not seen that much on earth. That is possible to get initiated under a bona fide parampara from a bona fide spiritual master, and then you are connected. So without being initiated, it is very difficult to progress on the path of spirituality. Without being initiated means you are trying to come out of a well by yourself, by trying to climb the walls or trying to climb through a rope, because there is a very high risk, significantly high risk of you falling down back into the material world well. And when you get initiated, you are connected to the spiritual master and to parampara all the way to Krishna. Then Krishna and the spiritual master are pulling you up. They are taking you out of the well. So your effort level is less, and the progress on spirituality is much faster and much swifter. Upashri.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So, Ria, also thank you for memorizing the rest of the verses in 2.7. So, I understand 2.7 could be difficult. And if anybody wants, I can send you a link where one of the ISKCON disciple has a very nice, easier way to recite, and you can follow and you'll be able to memorize. So I think Ria and Priyadarshini, at least, I had sent to them, they follow. Possible others also I have sent. I remember to them I have sent. Somebody wants that link, I can send it to you, and you can try to follow and memorize the verses that way. Rest of you, silence. I got silence from rest of you. So Polami says it's difficult to recite the verses without viewing. So it's a matter of practice, right? We heard from Chaitanya Das that memorizing verses is ready-made template to remember Krishna. Memorizing verses means you have money in your pocket. So start practicing from this point on. When you wake up, you have 3 verses every week. Memorize when you wake up, when you are in the washroom, when you are in the shower, when you are preparing breakfast, when you are driving or in a bus, no matter what, you have so much time. Memorize one line at a time, and it will become second nature that you will be able to recite like a parrot. Rest of you, doable, not doable?
Prabhuji, I've come to realize that instead of getting caught up with my calls while I'm driving, I should be downloading the verses and memorize it.
Yes, absolutely. Right? Make your driving as bhakti yoga by memorizing verses.
Yes, thank you.
I still got silence from rest of you.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji,
Mansi?
Prabhuji, I would like to share one realization from my side. So, like in this process, the body is the best process that you mentioned in the previous
Yeah.
class, that it
Yeah.
helps a lot. Because,
Yeah.
like, whenever I'm cooking and I'm not reciting the words, every time my husband comes and just tells me that he just speak the words, and I just simply repeat that words after
Yeah.
him.
Very
It
good.
helps.
Yeah, very good. You are absolutely correct. Parth, Pratyush, Rupashri, go ahead first.
Prabhuji, the difficult thing is, should we memorize the word, understanding the meaning? Like there are synonyms under the
Yeah.
verse.
So you are correct that if you try to memorize the verses like a parrot, it will be very difficult to remember the verse.
Right.
But if you understand the meaning, so there are devotees, many of them virtually present here who are from Toronto, who come and do services with me at the Toronto temple. So we actually have a chart printed where we have the Sanskrit verse, the word for word, and the translation. And devotees, while doing services, they are just memorizing these verses, not like a parrot, but they are understanding. So once you understand the meaning of the words, then it's very easy to memorize the verses.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Parth, Pratyush.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I had actually memorized 2.13 from the earlier list of verses that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
The remaining two I still need to memorize. I also have a small suggestion. For the verses that need to be memorized, Prabhuji, if you could kindly just recite them with the right rhythm and the right intonation so that when we memorize, we memorize it the right way.
Yeah, so I will send you the link of the Mataji. and you can just follow her. I'm not very good at the meters. I mean, the 2.7 has a different meter, and I'm not good at that. 2.13 is a normal meter. 1.1 is a normal meter. Yeah, I can recite. The others, you can follow the link. I will send it to you, and whosoever else wants that link, you can send me an offline message and I will send to all of you. Ria can share her experience. I know Ria has been using that.
Yes, thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Ria.
Yes, Prabhuji, the link of that Mataji is very helpful. Like she has 3 different ways of reciting and she goes very slow, so that really helps. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I will, whosoever wants, send me an offline message and I will send you that link and you just keep following that way. And everybody practice. Every week you are going to get 3 verses. Memorize. I showed you how I am memorizing and you notice that it's not easy. I was also tense in the video that you saw me memorizing verses. So it is tense, but it's possible. Try. All right, question number 3. How can I grasp the nectar of instruction when I do not have a fundamental understanding of the Bhagavad Gita? Very good. So just as in the material world science laboratory, one studies theory in the class and goes to the lab to prove or disprove the theory. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is the philosophy or the theory, and nectar of instruction and nectar of devotion are the practice. So that we can know how to practice the philosophy and what is the result. In nectar of instruction, these 11 texts, the instruction starts from mind and sense control and goes all the way to pure devotee in text number 11. So we have discussed this same point in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 around verse number 3, and we have also heard a Srila Prabhupada lecture on this exact same topic, religion and philosophy combined. So with the study of nectar of instruction and the practice, the Bhagavad Gita philosophy will actually get solidified. If you only study Bhagavad Gita, it's very difficult to understand because the practice will be lacking. But if you practice what is described in nectar of instruction, then the Bhagavad Gita philosophy will get solidified. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Question number 4. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared almost 540 years ago. He then started spreading the Krishna conscious movement. Can you please tell something about this movement prior to appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So Krishna consciousness movement has always been there. Before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna consciousness was not as flourished as is now. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to fast forward the Krishna consciousness movement. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Question number 5. Vishnu Saharsranam says 1000 names of Vishnu are equal in merit to one name of Lord Ram. Is there any verse in scripture that mentions 3 names of Ram are considered equal to one name of Krishna? If this is true, then Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is exponentially potent. You are absolutely correct. So the answer is straightforward. I will bring up two verses on the screen, and that itself answers this question number 5. First is Srimad Bhagavatam 10.90.47. We'll read the purport. So I have on screen 10.90.47. Rupashri, you can read the purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sure. Okay. From beginning to end, the 10th
Hold on. You can actually just read.
Okay.
So this is the verse. You can read from below here to end.
Okay, with the sloka, right? Okay.
You can skip the sloka.
Okay. By uttering the single name of Krishna just once, one attains the same benefit as that gained by reciting Lord Vishnu's 1,000 names 3 times. Fifth, Lord Krishna solidly reinstated Dharma, the bull of religion.
So that's okay. So
Okay.
This is the point.
Okay.
So it's that one name of Krishna is not 1,000 names, it's actually 3,000. It says 1,000 names 3 times. So you can visualize that Krishna's name is so powerful. And similarly, I will bring up on screen 1.19.6. Rupashri can please read the last line in the purport. Similarly, from here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So
Similarly,
I will first say, so this is 1.19.6 and the last line in the purport.
Okay. Similarly, it is said in the scriptures that 1,000 names of Vishnu are equal to one name of Rama, and 3 names of Lord Rama are equal to one name of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Question number 6. Nectar of instruction is for neophyte devotees. I have noticed that Madhyam level Adhikari or senior devotees also regularly repeat the detailed study of Nectar of Instruction. Why is it so? So Nectar of Instruction is for all devotees. One time, Srila Prabhupada was praying to Durga Devi, Maya Devi, that please do not entangle me in Maya. And devotees asked Srila Prabhupada that being a pure devotee, why would Srila Prabhupada pray to Durga Devi? Pure devotees are not entangled in Maya. And Srila Prabhupada said, I pray to Durga Devi so that I do not get entangled because Maya is very strong. So yes, Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee and is never entangled by Maya. But Srila Prabhupada is teaching us to stay humble and to stay vigilant at all times. My spiritual master has memorized Nectar of Instruction, all 11 texts in Sanskrit and the translations. And just few days back, my spiritual master gave a lecture which is titled, Why to Assimilate All These Scriptures Again and Again. If anyone is interested to listen to that lecture of my spiritual master, you can please send me an offline message and I will forward that lecture to you. And as an addendum to my spiritual master's that lecture, there was a slide and I will bring that slide on screen to understand how little we know. So you can listen to the lecture if you are interested, and I will run through this slide, that how little we know. So this is a circle of entire human knowledge. When you finish elementary school, there is a little dot in terms of how much knowledge you have gained. When you finish high school, there is an additional circle or an additional layer of knowledge that you have gained. When you complete bachelor's degree, there is additional knowledge, and there is a little bump, means you have done some specialization. Then you go to master's, you expand that specialization topic. Then you further research and you reach the edge of human knowledge. Once you are at the boundary of knowledge on that one topic, you are focused. And it generally takes quite a while to be at this and at this level. And one day there'll be a dent in that knowledge, that now that dent is when you become a PhD. So when somebody becomes a PhD, the world looks different for you for that particular topic, because you have significantly more information for what that particular topic. But then my Guru Maharaj says, don't forget the bigger picture. PhD, you have that little dent. Don't forget the bigger picture. And in that lecture of my spiritual master, that why we should assimilate these scriptures again and again, my spiritual master says, in the example was PhD, now replace it with Bhagavad Gita. That we have to read Bhagavad Gita again and again and again and again and again. We also, at our last class of Bhagavad Gita, concluding class, we discussed Sanjaya teaching us in 18.76 and 77. He said in both those verses, repeated again and again, he repeated again and again, that we have to assimilate this information again and again. And in the lecture, my spiritual master also gives the example of His Grace Chaitanya Chandra Das, that His Grace Chaitanya Chandra Das sends out messages on Bhagavad Gita every day. But Chaitanya Chandra Das is thinking of Bhagavad Gita the whole day. We all assemble once a week for 1 or 2 hours. So we have to revise this again and again and again. I read Bhagavad Gita almost every day. Of course, it's an instruction from my spiritual master to read Bhagavad Gita every day. Of course, sometimes I miss also because of busyness or whatever. But generally, I try to. So we have to read again and again. And so senior devotees or those who are serious devotees, they will revise all these scriptures again and again so that they stay on track and they fine-tune wherever necessary. Therefore, the devotee has rightly noticed that senior devotees are revising nectar of instruction. Again, yes, it is very important to revise scriptures again and again. We have Kali-yuga memory. We forget. It's described in Bhagavatam 1.1.10 that in Kali-yuga people have these 6 characteristics. One of them is short memory, short lives. They are unfortunate. So even Brahmaji has this forgetting memory. Bhagavatam Canto 2 describes that part. Even Brahmaji forgets. So who are we? Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
So anybody interested for that Guru Maharaj lecture of my Guru Maharaj, you are welcome to send me an offline note and I can forward it to you. Question number 7. Can you please elaborate on this particular line from the preface? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. So we have discussed in our Bhagavad Gita study that Bhagavad Gita is ABCD of spirituality. Bhagavad Gita has principles. Srimad Bhagavatam has pastimes of the Lord. And Chaitanya Charitamrita discloses the heart and the mind of the Lord. So we'll soon read from the screen. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 4, describes the external reasons for appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. External reasons being to offer what no incarnation has offered before, means to bestow the most elevated mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. And then in verse 5 and 6, describes the internal reasons for appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Internal reasons means what is in the heart of Krishna. So the internal reasons are the Lord wanted to understand the glory of Srimati Radharani's love. Krishna says, I am Supreme Personality of Godhead. But how come Srimati Radharani's love is so great? I do not understand. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the golden color of Srimati Radharani, so that Krishna can understand the love of Srimati Radharani. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. And the other internal reason is the wonderful qualities in Krishna that only Srimati Radharani relishes. So Krishna says, I actually want to relish this. How is it that Srimati Radharani relishes so much more? I am Supreme Personality of God. And the third reason is the happiness that Srimati Radharani feels by doing services to Krishna. When she realizes the sweetness of his love. So Krishna says, actually, I want to experience that happiness. I am Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I don't understand how come Radharani relishes much more. So this is the internal, the heart, the mind of the Lord revealed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So let's read Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I have on the screen. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 1, and we'll read verse 4, 5, 6. So verse 4 is external reasons, and then verse 5, specifically 6, 5 and 6 are internal reasons. Riya can read verse 4 and 5 and 6.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Text 4. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love.
Right, so this is the external reason that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to give the mellow of devotional service, the most sublime, which no other incarnation has done. And next two verses, 5, 6 are the internal reasons. Continue.
Text 5. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself.
Right, so this is the combined form of Radha and Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined form. Okay, continue, and 6 says why he appeared, the internal reasons.
Text 6. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appeared from the ocean. Hare Krishna.
Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 8. Mind and sense control helps us unfold. The question is, what's the next step in advancing in bhakti? So once you have some level of control of mind and senses, then continue the next steps from the 9 stages that we discussed or what you heard in the previous recording. The next steps are sadhu sangha, that in association of devotees, we learn to practice devotional service. Then is bhajana kriya, that practice devotional service is like the spiritual treatment. Then comes anartha nivritti. The next stage after taking spiritual treatment is that we start getting cured. So artha means something that has meaning, and anartha means that which has no meaning, which are undesirable, and nivritti means retirement. So sensual desires of lust, anger, greed, pride, and illusion have no meaning, but we have given meaning to them. So anartha nivritti means stopping the misconceptions of giving meaning to all these, that which have no meaning. Then you come to nishtha, means your faith becomes strong. So meaning that when we get cured from the treatment, we feel better. We see that the treatment is working and we want to become fully healthy. So the difference between initial shraddha and nishtha is that initial shraddha can be shaken, but nishtha means strong faith. Nishtha cannot be shaken. Nishtha is like a deeply rooted banyan tree. Next step is ruchi. You develop taste. As you get cured, you become spiritually healthy. You develop taste for Krishna consciousness. Then next step is asakti, that you get deeper and deeper attached to Krishna and to devotional service. Then you reach bhava, means you have spiritual emotion. Bhava is like the ray of sunlight. Tiny ray coming through a hole or an edge of a curtain. Then you reach prema, which is the full sun. So these are the steps that once you have mind and sense control, then sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti, nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava, and prema. Does that answer the inquiry? All right, question number 9. I am curious to understand that all 6 Goswamis were disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the present day, they have different followers. How different are their teachings or mission from one another? Was there any difference at all? So there is no difference in the teachings of the 6 Goswamis. And further, Jiva Goswami, who is the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan, that he also has gone on to write the Bhakti scriptures, which are known as Sandarbhas. He has also summarized lot of scriptures on the same path, on the Bhakti path. There's no difference in any one of them. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Question number 10. Mode of goodness is ideal to move to transcendental mode. However, people who are in mode of ignorance, should they go to mode of passion, then move to mode of goodness, then mode of transcendence? How does it work? People who are from mode of ignorance, how does it work? So we have discussed this at great length in our Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 discussion on how the modes work. Does any one of you want to try to answer this question? We have already discussed this in our Bhagavad Gita study. Anybody wants to try? So Bhagavad Gita 14.10 states that there is constant competition between the modes. Sometimes the mode of goodness wins, sometimes passion wins, sometimes ignorance wins. Therefore, we experience different emotions during the day, meaning modes are not stacked in sequence. One does not need to move from ignorance to passion to goodness, or the other way from goodness to passion to ignorance. No. One can be in goodness, say one is chanting japa, and all of a sudden the devotee caves to mode of ignorance and falls asleep. So from goodness, he jumps to ignorance. So he does not have to go in sequence. So let's first read 14.10 translation. Raksha will read 14.10 translation.
Text 10. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy.
Right,
Hare Krishna.
so there is always competition between the modes, 24 hours. So we have discussed a lot of practical aspects on how the modes work in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14. So yes, the mode of goodness is obviously conducive to move to transcendence. Now, not impossible, but slightly difficult for one who is in ignorance to move directly to transcendence. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita 7.28 states that we should try to be in mode of goodness more and more so that we are steady in devotional service. An example of those in ignorance is that His Holiness Bhaktimarg Swami from the Toronto Temple and devotees, they go to City Hall every year on December 31st during midnight. And some people completely drunk, after they attend that midnight party, they are completely drunk. And when they are going back home, they meet these devotees. They meet Bhaktimarg Swami chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So these drunk people, they dance with devotees singing Hare Krishna. And these drunk people, they follow His Holiness Bhaktimarg Swami to the temple, they attend Mangalarti, and then we never see them again. Because they are in ignorance. Yes, that one time the force of a pure devotee brought them to the temple. But because overall they are in ignorance, then therefore they are not steady in devotional service. They only come once a year and then we never see them. So we have to try to be in goodness as much as is possible. And in our Bhagavad Gita study, we have populated few charts for making our day-to-day activities in mode of goodness. And simultaneously, we do not have to stay at goodness. Rather, we have to move to transcendence. So in our Bhagavad Gita study, we have also discussed that mode of ignorance is a vicious cycle. Mode of ignorance develops from ignorance. An example is a drunkard. He starts by drinking maybe once a month or infrequently, and he goes on to be so addicted that he is now drinking every hour. So ignorance develops from ignorance. It's a vicious cycle. The only solution for those in ignorance is to get a mercy of pure devotee and start the process of bhakti, the devotional service. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So last question for today is a series of questions. From His Grace, from His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 lecture, that there are 4 varnas. Let's say if a Shudra has Brahmanical qualities, how can he be identified in the midst of all Maya? Would he even have a chance of showing himself as a Brahmana? Has that ever happened? So I will answer this part and then we'll come to the next part of the questions. So in our Bhagavad Gita study, specifically Bhagavad Gita 4.13 and 18.41, we have discussed at great length that Krishna created the Varnashram divisions based on guna and karma. And these divisions are not based on birth. Krishna says in 4.30, Chatur Varnam Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. He says Guna Karma Vibhagasha, that the divisions are based on guna and karma and not on birth. A Shudra by birth can become a Brahmana or even a Vaishnava by taking first and second initiation from a bona fide spiritual master from ISKCON. There are many examples. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidura is born as a Shudra but is a qualified spiritual master because he received knowledge from his spiritual master Maitreya Muni. And Maitreya Muni received knowledge directly from Krishna. So we'll read 1.13.15, translation and purport, initial about 8 lines, and we'll discuss further. Let me bring up on screen. So I have 1.13.15. Paulomi will read translation and about the first 8 lines in the purport. I will stop you.
Hare Krishna. Translation. As long as Vidura played the part of a Shudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, Aryama officiated at the post of Yamraja to punish those who committed sinful acts. Purport. Vidura, born in the womb of a Shudra woman, was forbidden even to be a party of royal heritage along with his brothers Dhritarashtra and Pandu. then how could he occupy the post of a preacher to instruct such learned kings and Kshatriyas as Dhritarashtra and Maharaja Yudhishthira? The first answer is that even though it is accepted that he was a Shudra by birth, because he renounced the world for spiritual enlightenment by the authority of Rishi Maitreya and was thoroughly educated by him in transcendental knowledge, he was quite competent to occupy the post of an Acharya or spiritual perceptor. Prabhuji, should I stop here?
One more line.
According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anyone who is conversant in the transcendental knowledge or the science of Godhead, be he a Brahmana or a Shudra, a householder or a sannyasi, is eligible to become a spiritual master. Hare
Right?
Krishna.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that anyone who is conversant with science of God, whether he is a Brahmana or a Shudra or a householder or a sannyasi, he is eligible to become a spiritual master. So this is an example from scriptures. Now, what about in day-to-day life? So the question is, are there any examples? So Prabhupada's initial disciples were hippies. Even by material world standards, they were set aside. But many of these hippies have gone on to become Brahmanas, as well as Vaishnavas, as well as spiritual masters by following the process of initiation from a bona fide spiritual master and doing devotional services. The further inquiry continues that I have heard Brahmana exposed as Shudra from the Ajamil story. We can find an incorrect action when everyone are good in a community, but for a Shudra, it is difficult unless some Brahmana noticed their good quality, else the knowledge would have been restricted to them or ignored by them, and whatever good they do go in vain, isn't it? So yes, so let me answer this second part, and then I'll bring the third part also. So yes, on their own, it is very difficult for Shudra or even anyone to progress on the path of spirituality. Bhakti starts from bhakti. Only when one gets mercy of a pure devotee is when one gets to revive the process of bhakti from where they left off in their previous life. So yes, you all also have received mercy. That's why you are able to continue to study scriptures in devotee association. This is also devotional service. And the last part of the question says, example, I see so many friends who are better than me. They are in mode of goodness. However, they are unable to accept the scriptures due to Maya and couldn't reach them. So this point also we have discussed at significant great length in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 by populating a very big chart for the various items. And we have discussed that all items should be in the mode of goodness to get the results of goodness. Meaning karma, karta, jnana, everything should be in goodness, not a mix and match. Meaning a person may be in goodness, but he may have to do passionate activity. Similarly, person may be in passion, but he may have to do goodness activity. And there may be people in goodness, but their intelligence may be in ignorance, and vice versa. So goodness means many people, they follow inherited principles of goodness of life, such as no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. All these are given in scriptures. So whether or not they following scriptures, but they have this in tradition. So there is some regulation already, even if that regulation is not at transcendental level as compared to people who are completely unregulated. And unregulated means persons may be drinking, smoking, etc. Means the lifestyle is in ignorance. So there may be some big researcher or scientist. So as if you just look at the researcher or the scientist, well, he's in goodness based on his intellect. But he may be a chain smoker. Well, the chain smoker makes him, or that activity is in the mode of ignorance. Meaning there will be a mix and match. So he's having a lifestyle of ignorance, means he's drinking and smoking, but may also have characteristics of goodness, that he's a scientist and intellect. So how do you understand all this? Is we have discussed that the influence of the modes is very complex. And we just read from 14.10 also that one mode may be influencing at one aspect of our life, and all of a sudden another mode may be influencing another aspect of our life. So for us to be steady, we need all items to be in goodness. Then you are steady in goodness, and then it will be easier to transcend goodness also and reach transcendence. Does that answer all parts of the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realization that this was the last question? So I want to hear back from you. How is this process working for you all? That you listen to the recording for the philosophical discussion and then you assemble for inquiries for practical discussion. How is this working for you all? Upashri?
For me, it's Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So for me, it is working like to listen the recording at my own pace. Sometimes I rewind before to hear it again.
Mhm.
So recording works for me, and then this session is also very helpful to address what questions we have.
Yeah. Okay. Rest of you? Thank you for sharing.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes, the recording portion is also working for me as well.
Okay, thank you. Rest of you? Anybody, the process or this approach is difficult, or you have any suggestions? Silence.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's a very privileged opportunity because it helps us to prepare ourselves thoroughly by
Okay.
listening the recording once more. So it is very much helpful to me.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So for my next slide, I request undivided attention. So I'm going to share striking points. And before I share the striking points, I have one striking point from one of the devotee that is a summary of what I'm about to discuss. So we discussed at our last class the importance of respecting Krishna by respecting the time we have carved out for Krishna. We discussed the importance of completing spiritual endeavor by end of day Monday. Some of you did not complete spiritual endeavor at all, and some of you completed late. So you will soon hear in the next recording and read in Nectar of Instruction, text number 1, the initial 2 pages of the purport, that intelligent person is one who rectifies himself simply by hearing about from the experience of others, while less intelligent are those who want to first experience themselves, and worst are those who do not change even after experiencing. Example, a thief is caught and still does not transform, that as soon as he comes out of the jail, he again engages in stealing. Similarly, there are examples after examples after examples after examples for the last more than 10 plus years that those who do not complete the spiritual endeavor, they end up living spirituality and they end up living devotee association. Therefore, intelligence is to learn from what others have gone through rather than we ourselves experiencing and going away from spirituality and going away from devotee association. So you all also heard the discussion in the last class where my spiritual master said, attitude determines altitude. In the next slide that I'm going to share, many of you put that as a striking point. Attitude determines altitude. So not completing spiritual endeavor is inappropriate attitude. So I had also sent a lecture by His Grace Chitran Chandas titled, First Priority is to keep the first priority as the first priority, where he discusses that most of the time the pilot is simply trying to bring the airplane back on track. Deviations like not completing endeavor are bound to happen. Therefore, make course corrections. Otherwise, the airplane will land at a different destination or will land in no man's land. So I had also sent a lecture on how to respect Krishna, about 4 or 5 minute lecture. So Chetrachanda described that to respect Krishna means to respect the time we have carved out for Krishna. So I had shared the slide that almost all of you have Saturday, Sunday off, and almost all of you between Saturday, Sunday at least have one day as the day off. So there is no reason for any one of you to wait till Monday. Just complete as soon as is possible. Now, there are exceptions. If you are unwell, if you are traveling, yeah, I can understand those exceptions. I'm not sitting here with a stick. So we have to fine-tune ourselves. We heard from Chitran Chandas. He said that deviations are bound to happen. And I had described the analogy that Kunal Prabhu from Batch 5 asked, that the airplane pilot is able to keep the airplane on track because he gets beeping sound and notifications. Or when the airplane is about to stall, he gets the stick shaker notification. The stick shaker it shakes very violently means the steering that the pilots are holding, shakes very violently and there is a beeping sound. So when you don't complete the spiritual endeavor, that's your stick shaker that you are about to stall. Right? So wake up. Even if a pilot by any chance goes to sleep while he's flying the airplane, that stick shaker is so violent that it will wake up a sleeping pilot also. So you also wake up. This should be a stick shaker moment. It's only few of you who did not complete the spiritual endeavor. You will soon notice. So we already had so many inquiries, and you will soon notice from the next slides that I'm about to bring up, from the various striking points the devotees have provided, that endeavor. Our nectar of instruction is the practice. Right? So if you don't endeavor, you are not going to get the results. Without practice, you are not going to get the results. So, Padma Kumar Prabhu, you want to read point number 13, which is a striking point from one of the devotee we have on the screen, highlighted in green.
Attitude of a devotee determines his altitude. For advancement in pure devotional service, a devotee must develop a submissive attitude and show respect to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. With a good and subservient attitude, his doubts will clarify over time. He will achieve control over his mind and senses and progress steadily in the path of eventually becoming a Goswami. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Attitude of a devotee determines his altitude. So all these points, basically the devotee summarized for all I said, that you have to have submissive attitude. You have to show respect to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So our Bhakti Vix classes are our practice ground. So you have to practice here. Otherwise, when you go take shelter of a spiritual master, you will continue to follow the same processes there also. Well, that will be significantly inappropriate if you don't obey the spiritual master. So I will bring up on screen. So this is Bhagavatam 1.5.24. So for those of you who have studied Bhagavad Gita in our batch, at the very first class, I have given Srila Prabhupada lecture on 1.5.24. 1.5.24 is the title is discipline. This verse is titled discipline, where Srila Narad Muni explains his own experience, that how Srila Narad Muni goes on to become a pure devotee, like Srila Narad Muni from an ordinary 5-year-old Shudra boy. And Narad Muni describes that he was very disciplined. This is step number 1. So 1.5.24, the purport, the last line. Naresh Prabhu, you want to read the one highlighted? Pratyush.
Without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Right? It's a clear instruction that if you are not disciplined, it's going to be very difficult for you to survive on the path of spirituality. So my humble request to all of you, that endeavor and try to complete as soon as is possible. You don't even have to wait for Monday's deadline. Now you notice that I answered so many inquiries I am providing references. So I'm not a running encyclopedia. I have to do research for your inquiries. So I also need time. I also work like all of you 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So it's very important for you all to fine tune here that on a go forward basis, you respect Krishna, respect the time you have carved out for Krishna, and endeavor listen to the recording right away or as soon as is possible. I mean, for those of you who are here in North America, it's already quite late, so it's understandable. But you still have Saturday, Sunday. So listen as soon as is possible. Memorize verses. I showed you, I also memorize every day. So you can also follow. I'm not just saying for the sake of saying. We are here to help each other. I'm not here to chastise any one of you. So practice. If you have any difficulty, by all means, you are welcome to connect with me. Now, at least one devotee did message me that I am unwell and I will complete the spiritual endeavor later. And I never say no. I say, okay, you can even skip if you are unwell. But the devotee actually completed. So thank you for completing and thank you for connecting with me. So that this is the genuine reason. The devotee is unwell. Well, I'm not sitting here with a stick. No, you have to complete by Monday. I never said that. You have to try to be disciplined. Otherwise, we read attitude determines altitude. You will have challenge attaining high altitude. I want to hear from all of you. Any questions, comments, realizations on this part? Everybody is able to follow and do their endeavors.
Yes, Prabhuji, for sure.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll try my best.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Everybody.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So the next slides are the striking points that all devotees submitted. So there are 5 slides. You can please take a snapshot and I'll explain what you do with this. So take a snapshot. This is slide number 1. Slide 2. Slide 3. Slide 4. And slide 5. So with these striking points, you can compare. So I'll leave everyone's point. There will be a lot of repeat points. So you can compare for yourself that how other devotees are writing in a brief manner versus some other devotees may be writing the same point in a long manner. So our point is to write in a brief manner. Striking point, right? You don't have to write long paragraphs. It should be brief to the point. Think of trying to preach to someone who's running and running and running. It's very difficult. So we have to be very concise, try to be. It's our practice ground. We try to be concise as much as is possible. And you can keep fine tuning for yourself as you progress. Everybody can do that, please.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I don't have anything more to discuss. I will send next lecture in sequence to listen to, and I will also post Google form for you to complete your spiritual endeavor. In the recording, you will anyway hear about verses to memorize. So try what works best for you and endeavor, and you will see the results. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Jai Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.